Good evening, disappointed gamers, and welcome to another episode of The Disappointed Gamer, the show where I cover and tell you about all the disappointing video games that has ever cursed our consoles, PCs, and poor, fragile souls. And today, boy, is today's episode a roller coaster of things happening. I don't think I even need to explain what exactly happened with this particular game, as you probably know the story if you clicked on this video. But for the sake of those who might have never actually heard about this debacle, let me tell you all about what many people call a real-life creepypasta. This is the awful and tragic story of Space Hunter X. The year is 2018. Kickstarter is no stranger to video game crowdfunding projects, for better or for worse. And it was at the start of that year where a big name announced his first campaign using said platform. Enter Seamus Goldstein, world famous cartoonist and creator of, let's be honest, most of your childhood shows if you grew up in the 80s and 90s. Mr. Goldstein was never involved in a production of a video game before, not even in games based on his own creations. And while that's an industry standard, it was our first sign in hindsight that something was about to go wrong. Credit where it's due, Goldstein knew his name alone could not sell a video game. His first move in order to deal with that was making it clear that he's teaming up with no other than Idina Patel, known by many as Mrs. Video Game for being the most influential woman in the industry. Not only that, but the game will feature a story written by him, which will serve as the uncut version of his most beloved cartoon show, The Phantom Astronauts. Like all great tragedies, this project had a lot of potential. Two very well-known and high-profile creators collaborating on a new project, promising fans of them both something they've been dying to see for years, with no studio meddling. This seemed to be like the surest thing imaginable. But since you're watching the show that you're watching, things didn't go exactly according to plan. However, we are getting ahead of ourselves. While we know now the eventual end to this saga, its beginning was nothing short of actually pretty promising. While not breaking any records, the project made its initial goal fairly quickly, and it wasn't long before other stretch goals were reached. Goldstein and Patel were also very open with their communities, providing updates on the project such as concept art, basic plot lines, and what genre they were targeting. If I could credit these two for one thing in this whole entire mess, was that their passion was clearly in it. Their video updates, while taken with phones and web cameras, showed them at a very vulnerable and I'd even say relatable state. How many times have you seen two big name people talking to their fans and founders like two nervous kids? Words can describe how excited I am to share these first concept arts with you. Like, these were in my drawer back there for so many years, and I didn't share them with anybody in case I'll ever get, to finish the story. But it doesn't mean I don't get to finish it, but I get to do what I want. I get to do what I want, and it's all thanks to you guys. So just thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next update. I am so excited to show you what's coming.
I'm looking at the funds we got still getting, and I already know that I have to make this the greatest project I've ever worked on. If not for me, then for you guys.
Regardless of anyone's opinion about the end product or how they view this now looking back, you can say that this duo wasn't passionate, because they clearly were. Sadly though, passion doesn't always equal to good management, as we will now see with the first controversy Space Hunters X faced. Only after the project was funded, it was announced that Patel brought one of her closest friends, Jonah Anderson, to serve as the community manager for the project and handling Kickstarter updates while communicating with the fans as well. This would have allowed Goldstein and Patel to focus on the project.
But I can tell you this, Anderson is a good guy. I can vouch for him not just as a friend, but as a professional. For personal reasons, Anderson feels that they don't want to reveal their face online because he feels that once you put a face up, it's gonna be forever. And it's hard to argue with that sentiment.
While the idea sounded good on paper, the way it was presented opened the door to many issues. Many took issue with the fact that the previously seen video updates by Goldstein and Patel would now be replaced by video updates and greetings from a person who was unknown to them. While close friends with Patel, Anderson never took part in any of her previous works and has even admitted to have never watched Phantom Astronauts or any of Goldstein's other shows. Instead of the people they supported the vision of, fans were now interacting with what they saw as a complete stranger who was given power over their money. Didn't help matters was the fact that Anderson's video messages to fans were done with them hiding behind a mask. Patel claimed at the time that Anderson was going through a very personal process and requested to not reveal their face while taking over the video updates for the project, as they felt uncomfortable with the idea of showing their face online. Patel agreed, seeing no problem with this request, until the fans struck back. The announcement concerning Anderson's unwillingness to reveal their face to the backers of the project caused many to voice their displeasure. Regardless of what the personal issue was, people still weren't in favor of the idea of someone wearing a Halloween mask being responsible, connecting them to what was being done with their money. Harsh comments filled the comment section of each new update, and some backers even asked their money back, claiming this stunt caused a lot of trust issues. This brings us to Goldstein's next video update, the first one ever since Anderson took over them. I know that every decision we make will have its fair share of detractors, and we can never please each and every one of you fans and donators. And well, Idina and I are grateful for any piece of feedback you bring to our attention, to make the game better and make the game something you would like. I cannot, in good conscience, allow refunds for such a silly and minor thing as what you guys are asking. I don't think I need to tell you that this claim, while coming from a good place in Goldstein's mind, led to some catastrophic results. Fans and backers were outraged that Goldstein saw their concern as silly and outright refused the refund despite Kickstarter allowing the possibility. What he said later though was even worse. So here's where I draw the line. Guys, here's where I put my foot down. Jonah Anderson is the community manager for Space Hunters X and will continue to be the community manager for Space Hunters X until the game's done and shipped. Idina and I won't accept, nor would we even hear any kind of advice or support any action from an entitled group of people who feel like bullying a person from the transgender community. This is it. No more of this. This might be the best time to bring up that Anderson were indeed in the process of discovering their sexuality and are using they as a pronoun. While fans weren't on board with having a relative stranger running the Kickstarter, the topic of Anderson's gender was never brought up, nor was it known to the backers. Anderson themselves tried remaining as ambiguous about it as possible and asked Patel to have the mask on during updates, all unneeded attention. While the negative reception towards Anderson slowed down, it only appeared to grow worse for Goldstein. Fans and media outlets pointed out that his video wasn't only insulting and talking down to the people who allowed him to even bring his vision to life in the first place, but also that he put forward an issue which never even existed in order to justify his criticism towards the people asking for a refund. Not long after this now infamous announcement by Goldstein, it was announced that Anderson stepped down as the community manager for Space Hunters X. While an official reason wasn't stated, it's not hard to imagine that this whole controversy drove them away from the project. They've never made another statement regarding Space Hunters X. Community updates kept coming, but it was never made public who exactly wrote and published them. While some saw it as no reason to concern, as it's pretty obvious either Goldstein or Patel would write them. Speaking of Patel, she remained silent for the majority of the game's production. She never made any other video appearances, nor was she mentioned in any of the other updates, and she remained quiet throughout the whole Anderson controversy. Considering her good connection with Anderson, many assumed she even left the project because of a fight with Goldstein regarding his choice of words. Patel's sudden silence drove more speculations and causes for concern. The project owed its success to her name being attached as one of the key figures behind it. What is even the status of a production without one of its creators? That question went unanswered by any of the future updates. Despite Patel's disappearance, Goldstein's bad reputation, and the anonymous Kickstarter posts, the project still delivered plenty of updates as promised. Concept arts were plenty. Character and story descriptions followed. All the target platforms were revealed. While no gameplay was shown, the Kickstarter still delivered what it promised, and made some skeptics believe maybe the project won't turn out as a complete disaster. We are now reaching the most surprising part of the story, as Patel finally spoke up in a video update.
Today I'm happy to tell you that all the hard work is now officially behind us. Space Hunters X has gone gold!
I'm sure you're all thinking to yourselves, wait, the game went gold? Did they ever show any footage of it? And the answer is no. Between all the updates, a gameplay video was never released. Not a concept trailer showing a demo or anything like that. The game was just ready, and while a lot of eyebrows were raised, so was people's curiosity to get the chance to actually play this game and see what it was really like. On the night before the game was set to come out, a Twitch stream was held by Goldstein and Patel, showing off the first hour of gameplay while answering questions throughout the stream. The camera showed Goldstein's room as he was playing the game, while Patel showed up through a small screen at the bottom of the video. After some flavor text, Goldstein finally started the game. Only nothing actually loaded. As Goldstein tried understanding what went wrong, Patel's signal began to static until it eventually went down completely. A voice suddenly said, which confused Goldstein, who tried figuring out what the problem was. And then the stream went offline. The next day, there was no game to play on any of the mentioned consoles. The Kickstarter page vanished from the internet, and any attempt to contact Goldstein or Patel proved useless. Space Hunters X literally vanished without a trace, save for some backed up video updates, which you saw throughout this video. What did happen? Could this have been prevented? Was there something to be done? No one knows for sure. Space Hunters X will remain a mystery, which I'm not sure anyone wants to figure out. What sounded too good to be true, maybe was in the end too good to be true, as it ended up not being true at all.